So thank you everyone for coming to our presentation about our Pertame language project and our Master-Apprentice Program. And the title of this presentation is called Ngketya nwernakenha, Making Our Language Strong. And now I'm going to hand it over to Shania to do the acknowledgement of country in Pertame.
Warda Arangara Mara Aritna Nuka Shania Armstrong na Yanga Orokuja Pertame Ndakara Arandaranya Abmara Kodanana Rilla Aranda Mapaka Norna Anjirama Itlarichaka Rilla Nguya Mapa Yarakala Ba Rilla Nguya Mapa Yada Nama. Hello, are you up good? My name is Shania Armstrong. I am a Pertame woman, Southern Aranda. This land will always belong to the Aranda people. We want to think about the elders past and still with us. Warda Aritna Nuka Shania Armstrong na Yunga Christobel Swan PB nama Yunga ye Nana Kaljerika Pertame Ngketya Yunga Nara Kaljerika Pertame Ngketya Ba Wichika. Hello, my name is Shania Armstrong. I am Christobel Swan's great-granddaughter. I just started learning my language, Pertame, this year. I have learnt so much about speaking and understanding Pertame already.
Uda Reitna Nuka Auriel Swan Christobel Swan me and Nuka Noma Yanga Anjarama Nichika me and Nuka Naka Ngketya Pa Kaljerika Pertame Meloma Maba. Hello, my name is Auriel Swan. I'm Christobel Swan's daughter. It's my dream to take after my mother's language and teach other Pertame people.
Warda Aritna Nuka Nama Vanessa Farrelly na Christobel Swan na Yora Nuka Nama Yinga Nama Pertame Kaljerana Yinga Arakana Ndora Nama Kaljerichika Ba Kaljendichika Pertame Ngketya Master-Apprentice Yora Lila. So hello, my name is Vanessa Farrelly. Christobel is my nana. I'm very happy to be involved in the learning and teaching Pertame in the Master-Apprentice Program with Nana Chrissy. So now we'll hand it over to the Pertame elder herself. Do you want to just introduce yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are reading? Oh, done for what are reading?
You don't need to read this. Just introduce yourself.
Young Christobel Swan, young nwernakenha Enbury Station, young Porter, Finger Ribbon. And run family no.
And why do you like to teach the kids language?
Other language guidance, Kijimaman, in Kaljerika, language none. Young Ngketya, it Ngketya but undowned.
And you're one of the last Pertame speakers?
Oh.
Yeah. So she just said that she is a Pertame woman from Henbury Station, just south of Alice Springs. And yeah, that she likes to teach the kids her language and the kids like learning. Yeah. She's one of the last Pertame speakers that we have still with us.
Yeah.
Oh, mother.
Ngona nama, who we are. Pertame is Southern Aranda. Pertame or Southern Aranda is a Central Australian language that belongs to the country around the Finke and Huey rivers, 110 kilometres south of Alice Springs. Pertame is a severely endangered language. There are 10 to 20 people in the older generation who are fluent speakers of the language. Pertame people used to work on the stations for rations. When equal pay came in, Pertame workers got fired, kicked off country and sent into town. PB Christobel remembers scrubbing the floors on her knees for rations. She wasn't allowed to speak her language at school. It's no accident that Pertame is endangered. It's because of colonization and government policies. This is a quote from PB Christobel about not being allowed to speak Pertame at school. I remember when I was about 10, we used to come in from the station and we'd be walking along the street and people would say, "Don't talk that language." Even at school, they used to give us a hiding in the playground. And I often used to think, why should I speak English? That's not my language.
Our vision, growing the next generation of Pertame speakers within a strong, connect and thriving Pertame community to honour the culture and worldview of our old people. When we keep our language alive, we know who we are, we know our identity, and when we know that, we become healthy people in our everyday living, because family is really important. It's a quote from my little mother, Kathy Bradshaw, a Pertame elder too.
Ngketya nwernakenha. Our language is who we are. Nwerna, identity. This is the philosophy of our language program. We believe that language defines our culture and identity. Nwerna, identity, and that connects to Apmura, country, Ngketya, language, Leeanne, old people, Untitled, kinship. We also teach Dooba, dance, Arasa, bush medicine, Ilalama, songs, Aljamapa, family, Murna Bushrinya, bush foods, Pandalama, art. Our goals for 2021. Our 4 apprentices are completely fluent in Pertame within 12 months. The program provides intergenerational learning and knowledge transfer between the 5 generations of the Pertame community. The Pertame community is brought together over a common goal to grow in strength and cohesion. Apprentices became community leaders and role models within their teaching positions, growing the next generation of fluent elders and leaders. Language revival supports Pertame people to build strong identities, to increase self-esteem and cultural pride. The Pertame map engages in the fabric of the local Alice Springs community to raise awareness of our project's work. Apprentices gain work experience, skill development and new qualifications within education, language work, linguistics and use of technology. Last year, I won the Year 12 Girls Academy Aspiring Role Model for my work teaching language.
So the model that we use to teach language is called a Master-Apprentice Program. So myself and Nana Kathy, who's Nana Chrissy's younger sister, we were invited to New York in 2019 by the Global Indigenous Language Caucus. And so that's just like a collection of First Nations people from all over the world who come together. And it was amazing meeting Indigenous people from all across the globe who are facing the exact same struggles as us in America. And so pretty much the psychological warfare of the dominant language, which could be English, Spanish, Russian, Chinese, all of the places where there are Indigenous people. And it tells our Indigenous people that our languages are inferior and that we should not teach that to our children. And that is how languages become endangered, when they break our spirit and get in our head. But Indigenous people all over the world are combating that through the Master-Apprentice Program, which pairs elder fluent speakers like Nana Chrissy with adult learners who want to learn their language by creating immersion. So basically it just copies how babies learn their first language. Like when we were children, we didn't know what a verb or a noun was. We just were around our parents speaking language and picked it up. And so basically you just need to be around language and hear it in context 24/7, and you just acquire language and become a fluent speaker. And that's really hard to do when there's only like a few fluent speakers here and there and they live all over the place. And so Master-Apprentice programs, the apprentices spend 10 to 20 hours a week with our elder, just immersed in language. So that means no English to become fluent speakers. And this is the fastest and most proven way to rapidly create new speakers. And with endangered Indigenous languages, it's usually the old people who are speakers. So we don't have much time. Like, you know, it's a game against the clock, really, to create new speakers so we can keep our language in the next generation. And so, yeah, it means there's no reading or writing, because when we were kids, the first time we learned to read and write was in school when we were already fluent speakers. So no reading or writing, because that slows down, you know, your ability to become a fluent speaker, because you're trying to learn the words as well as read them at the same time. And no grammar. So, yeah, we can all speak fluent English without knowing what a verb or a noun was, or a relative clause, or whatever other linguistic term. And so, yeah, it's important if you want to pick up language quickly, you don't need to focus on grammar. You just need to hear the language and acquire it. And, yeah. And when me and Nana Kathy returned back to Alice Springs and we told the family about this method, everybody loved it straight away and wanted to do it in our language program, because it just makes so much sense with Pertame culture as well, which is, it's all about just listening to elders, and you don't need any fancy linguists or apps or programs. All you need is just an old person and a couple young people or adults who want to learn. And so it makes everything so simple, and it's so effective and not as expensive or time consuming, because, yeah, we really can't afford to be doing language programs that aren't effective in creating new speakers, because time is ticking, you know, and, you know, we only have a few elders left with us. Yeah, so this is pictures of some of the Native American mob we met in New York. And, yeah, it was such an amazing experience meeting them.
I started coming to Batchelor before this program started with my mum. She used to do recording, and I helped my mum, Geraldine and Vanessa, get this Master-Apprentice Program started. I decided to come apprentices to help my mum to be fluent. We sat down and listened to mum talking Pertame and practicing saying what she says. We learned by playing games, drawing, cooking and talking, not reading or writing. Last year we did 71 sessions for the total of 263 hours. I can understand Pertame, but I couldn't speak it, but now I can speak a little bit.
As a part of our apprentice program, we run classes with the kids to learn the language by teaching it. We took them to the desert park and we run classes at Batchelor. After the Pertame sessions, I go home to teach my nieces and nephews, sisters and dad. They are always asking me, Auntie Shania, how do you say this in Pertame again?
So, yeah, we also run school holiday programs at the Batchelor Institute to give the kids something to do in the holidays. We do fun activities with them, teach them Pertame through songs and games and activities. So we translated the skipping game Teddy Bear into Pertame, and hand clapping games into Pertame, and we translated head, shoulders, knees and toes. Old MacDonald had a farm, Mary had a little kangaroo. Yeah, and so the kids learn by singing and doing fun activities. We do art with them as well. And yeah, it's something, you know, positive for them to get together as a family, know who all of their extended families is, learn about their culture and language, and yeah, get a healthy meal in the school holidays. And so now we're going to show you a video of some of the little kids singing Mary Had a Little Ara, little kangaroo.
Mary had a ara kuga, ara kuga. Mary had a ara kuga, for Ngketya ona Mary laka, Mary laka, Mary laka. Ngketya ona Mary laka,
So yeah, this is a video of the high school kids. We know that they love technology and iPads, so we got them to make their own TikTok Pertame videos and movies with the iPads, because we know that's what gets the older kids interested.
When are Brittany going on? Brittany, Luca, Nama, Shontae,
Unta nama.
Inga nama wala malala.
Wuna Ejabanga. Being a number 12 years old.
Na una school where laka.
Yinga Lama Gila School Wuna.
Ngona unda.
Yinga Nama.
And ngona unda.
Inga sundara nama.
And ngona unda.
Yinga Kwana Nama. Un tomato or butter. Madison, Wade, Mara, Tunga, Ringer.
And done.
Ridna Noka Nema Shontae. Ekmar Nama. Yingan Nama Alspindula. Intana una school una laka. Yinga Lama CMS Wana. Ura onda Arkera Edma. Yinga Arkena Erma Nepunga. Ora Ridna Ajay. Yinga. Ora Ajay Ridna Justin. Yinga Mahana. On Tamara. Oh. Ora Ridna Ajay. Ora Ajay Ridna Justyse. Yinga Mahana on Tamara. Oh. Ora on the Dooba. Kalapijay.
On country learning trip. In the school holidays, we take the kids out bush on country and learn them to get bush tucker and bush medicine. We take them to the Fink River to play games in Pertame with them and sit down with mum and talk about old times and how they used to live in Pertame land. We like learning language on country because where we come from and we feel alive when we at the homelands.
Yeah, so this, at the end of last year, we started teaching Pertame at the Bradshaw Primary. So we realised that there was a lot of our kids going to Bradshaw Primary, and so we organised for every week for an hour to pull them all out of class and run lessons with them. And again, we teach through songs and little schoolyard games that they are already doing, like the skipping game and hand clapping games and eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Yeah, we translate it all into Pertame and do art and drawing activities with them. But we found that like even when they're playing skipping games outside of our Pertame classes, they'll still sing it in Pertame, which is what we want. We want them to be using the language, wherever they go. But we found that just focusing on the younger kids, they go home and they know more Pertame than their parents sometimes. And so we realised that we wanted to do some evening classes for all of the adults, especially the adults who have kids in our Bradshaw program. So the kids are learning Pertame when they're at school, and then they can go home and hear Pertame as well. So with the adult class, we know that we can't, make fluent speakers out of the adults if they're not part of the Master-Apprentice Program and they're not immersed for 10 to 20 hours a week, but we can teach them everyday things that they can say in the home with their kids. So we teach them how to say things like, "Where's your shoes?" or "Get up for school," or "Turn the light off," just basic things that they always say in English to their kids every day, but just to swap it for Pertame. So the kids get more language in the home as well. Yeah, we want to bring our language home. So yeah, and this project wouldn't be possible without all the support from Batchelor Institute and the Centre for Australian Languages and Linguistics, or CALL. Yeah, so they provide us with the office space, all of the classroom venues, and some funding for my salary, and also all of the support from all the staff here at the Alice Springs Batchelor. So yeah, we'd all like to thank you so much. We wouldn't be possible without you. And also for our philanthropic, our donors and supporters. Yeah, this project costs money to run, unfortunately. So yeah, we'd really like to thank the 4S Foundation, who have believed in us from the very beginning, and they gave us the money to start off our Pertame project, the seeding funds, and then they've supported us every year since. And then also the 7th Generation Fund, Centre Corp, UTP Foundation, Australian Communities Foundation, and the BB&A Miller Foundation. And also we'd like to thank our partners, Bradshaw Primary School, Alice Springs Language Centre, and the Global Indigenous Language Caucus and the Uchi Language Project. So yeah, this is all of the Bradshaw Primary kids and our apprentices graduating the program last year. We had a little Christmas party. But yeah, does anyone have any questions for Nana Chrissy or Shania, Ani, Auriel, or me about our program? Yeah.
The program, what's short-term, medium-term, long-term? I mean, obviously long-term goals is the fluent language and language preservation, but ongoing utilisation of the language. I was wondering if you have milestones along the way, things you hope to achieve?
Yeah, so there was one slide here talking about our goals for the end of this year, which is all of us are fluent. And we want to get new apprentices in, and kind of all of us can act like masters as well, rather than just having Nana Chrissy, that we can be the masters for the new apprentices. And something that's really popular overseas is it's called a language nest. So that's where basically it was really successful in New Zealand and Hawaii, where all of the elders got together because they realised their language was fading out, and they decided to run a nursery. And then they would, with the babies, and then they would speak nothing but the Indigenous language to the babies, and then that became their first language. So we're hoping, once we have enough adult fluent speakers to support Nana Chrissy, that we could have like a nursery for the Pertame babies, and just basically they grow up in their language rather than having to teach them. So yeah, I reckon that's our next goal, but first we need more adult speakers, because that's really the missing generation. We have the old people, but yeah, to really teach the kids, yeah, we need adult speakers. Yeah.
Vanessa, I've got a question. What about the written word? Will you be writing, or will there be a way that people can read and write this language in the same way?
Yeah, so we do have written. We basically use the Eastern Aranda writing system, and Shania is completely literate in Pertame, and so is Nana Chrissy. They can read and write it, but all the research shows that while you're not fluent and while you're learning a language, to also learn to read and write it at the same time as learning to speak it actually delays your ability to speak it, because you are more likely to mispronounce it. And when we were kids, we didn't learn to read and write English until we were fluent in English and went to primary school, really. And so they say, wait until you're fluent before you start reading and writing. And that's what we're doing, because the way Aranda is written is also very confusing, and it really does, people mispronounce it all the time. It's not like English, but that's because there's sounds in Pertame that don't exist in English. So yeah, it's all about fluency first and then reading and writing later, yeah. Any other questions? Maybe for Nana Chrissy or Shania, Ani, Auriel, what it's like being an apprentice or something?
Yeah, well, I'd just like to say congratulations to start with. It's really great what you've achieved. And I am interested, for Auriel and Shania, what is it like for you personally? What does it mean for you to be doing this?
Well, it means a lot to me because my mother's a fluent speaker and I didn't have the chance to learn it when I was young. So I'm just learning. I can understand it, but I can't pronounce it or write it down or anything. And this is in Pertame, and I can read it now. Early last year I couldn't. Yeah.
Must feel really proud.
Yeah, I'm very proud of what I'm doing with my mother.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about learning my grandfather's language, and just really proud of myself, and my family's proud too. That's it.
Vanessa, I'd just like to make an observation. I think it's absolutely fantastic and it's really great. You know, just sort of, it makes my heart feel warm. This.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and we really want to, once we have a really good case study for this Master-Apprentice Program with our little language, we want to branch it out to other language groups too, because it's really popular in Canada and America and other places in the world, but it hasn't really been taken up in Australia. And I think that's for a lot of different reasons, but we really want to, part of our journey is we want to support other language groups to do something similar. And, you know, it can be so easy just, you know, if you have an elder who is a fluent speaker, just sit down with them for, 10 to 20 hours a week, just go about your daily life with them. It doesn't need to be an official program like what we have. And just tell them, stop speaking English to me, and I won't understand you at first, but I will eventually. Like babies, they don't understand you at first, but you do baby talk, and then slowly, it's like you don't start talking about economics to a baby, you do baby talk. And that's how you teach language, yeah. So start off simple and then slowly grow in complexity, and even if you don't understand and it's frustrating, you will eventually. Yeah. And in Australia, so many languages are under threat. Pretty much every single language in Australia is under threat right now, and so there needs to be a big change in the way that we teach language and revive language to do it rapidly enough. So, yeah, we can gift our Indigenous languages to the next generations. Yeah. Do you have anything to say, Christobel?
Thank you for coming.
Say thank you.
Thank you for coming, everybody. I'm really, I don't want to talk.
Can I just ask Christobel? I remember when we were back at IAD about 20 years ago, and you were wishing that you could get the younger generation to speak the language.
Oh,
I remember you used to talk about that a lot.
yes.
And how do you feel now?
I feel okay now.
How do you feel about now,
Yeah, like Auriel, she can talk a bit of language, and Auriel and Vanessa. Yeah. My name. Who's her name?
Very happy.
Oh, yeah.
Are you adjusting the Master-Apprentice model from how it was run in the US, or does it work as is?
So there's two kind of models in the US. One is just one-on-one, like one learner, one apprentice and one master. But there's also another model that they've been doing is like a team. So like one master and a couple apprentices, and one like project manager who kind of manages the sessions and makes sure no English gets in, and runs little activities and plans it out a bit more. And so that's what the kind of model that we're doing is. I'm kind of like the facilitator, and Nana Chrissy is the elder speaker, and then we have a couple of apprentices. And we also put in a lot more teaching the kids than other programs in America, just because it's just the most rewarding part is when you see the kids' smiling faces and how happy they get, and and when we teach our Bradshaw class, there's one Pertame student, and he has autism, and he has a carer teacher, And she tells us all the time at our Bradshaw classes, she said, I've never seen him so engaged in school before. Like, she's shocked to see him, like, really listening and attentive in our classes because, you know, he's getting his PBs teaching him and his nanas, and he's surrounded by his sisters and cousins, so, and learning his culture and language. And so, yeah, he's never been so engaged in school before.
And he goes back and talk Pertame to
Yeah.
his mum.
Yeah. And now his mum comes to all of our adult classes because she wants to be able to talk it to all her kids who come to Bradshaw. Yeah. And do you want to talk about your little nieces and nephews? Like, yeah, we'll colour them. Any more questions? Or? Well, yeah, thanks for listening.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.